today we'll be speaking on auto layout and constraints. So those are powerful feature on Figma, which allows us to design responsive UI. So without wasting much of our time, let's just jump right into the business of today. So I'm trying to share my screen now. Okay. All right, great. I believe you guys can see my screen now.
You can, yes.
Yeah, okay, great. All right, sorry, I was trying to add, let me just quickly add this. Okay. All right, so I have like a kind of table of contents to help us like know what we are going to be doing today. So yeah, like the list of things we'll be designing: buttons, headers, avatars, cards, tables, drop down, bottom navigation. So like I said, constraints and auto layout is just they are features that Figma puts on their software to help us build and design responsive UI. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. So before there was an upgrade, before auto layout was invented, there has always been something they call constraint. If you can see my screen, you will see it by this this side. So I just want to show you what it looks like before we started, before there was an update for auto layout. So we can create a rectangle like this. Just give it a color. So on a normal day, like the formal way we used to do it, if we want to create a button, we'll just write, let's say, button. Okay. Increase this side. Change the color. So, right, I believe this is how most of us used to do it then. So we'll just create button, then we'll probably group it, and then that's our button, right? But of course, the problem we have with this is the fact that you can't like have a well aligned button, a responsive button rather. So though there's something we call constraint then also. When you click on this, let me just align this to the center first. Okay. So yeah, so when you click on the text, you see this where you can align to wherever you want to align to. So this is for horizontal alignment and this is for vertical alignment. So when you click on, since we want the button, the text to be at the center, we click center for the horizontal, then center for the vertical also. So when I do this, sorry. Okay. So when I do this, something like this, see the problems that we have with this. So anyways, what is actually basically happening is the fact that the button is aligned to the center of the frame, not the rectangle, right? And those are like some of the issues that we faced then before the invention of auto layout. So now with auto layout, you can just simply do this when you want to create a button. Let me just bring this text out. Let me change the color to something we can see. So this is text, right? All you need to do is just press Shift A and there you have your auto layout automatically. So automatically, once you press Shift A, it will add padding. So these are the controls of the auto layout. This is to show, so in case you have like other things you want to put inside the button. So let's say we want to add an icon. What icon should I use here? So let's say you want to put an icon into this frame, because immediately you click on Shift A, it will create an auto layout for that text and it will be inside a frame. So I'm trying to explain what these controls are doing, right? So once you put an icon inside this frame, it automatically scale the frame width, and also make the text, the icon to be on the horizontal. Like this arrow is signifying horizontal, but if we change it to the one facing down, it will change it to vertical. So in case you want to probably have your probably icon vertically, maybe you want to design a card that you require the icon to be at the top. And of course, you can also change the position as you like, which is very easy. And compared to if you want to do this with the formal way we have it, of the formal way we normally create buttons, you can actually have this kind of flexibility and control. So of course, let me add a background to it. So which makes it very easy. So you've already created a button like this, and yeah. So you can also add border radius to it, which makes it very easy. So another thing is to make this responsive, right? To make this responsive, you have to put add this text, change this text to, so there's some control here also. So okay, so that is I just finished explaining these two controls. So this space is telling us the space between the items in that frame, in that particular auto layout. So what it's saying now is that between this and this, it is 10 pixels that is between them. We can also check the conventional way. Just click on the text and hold on what's it called, option key for Mac, I think Alt for Windows. So yeah, so you can see that it is 10 pixel that is in between the two items, or yeah. So that is what this is, and you can increase depending on how much space you want to put in between. Of course, if you change the direction also, it will still be the same margin or the same space between the icon and the text. So yeah, so let's put this back to 10. So moving on, so this is actually what we call padding. So the padding makes it, because immediately you have your auto layout. Let's just let me duplicate this and ungroup it. Of course, if you want to remove your auto layer, just right click, or yeah, right click and then check this option. Do the normal way we normally ungroup. Sorry, just click on that frame there. Click on the frame, then ungroup, and it will automatically ungroup like this. So let's say this is what we want to turn to an auto layout. So immediately you click this, this is what you would see, right? So as you can see, what it's saying is 10 centimeters spacing between the icon and the text, while your padding is 0. So now if we add a fill to it, you can see that there's no space. Padding is just spaced by the left, right, down, and left, right, top, bottom, right? So if we want to add a padding to this, immediately we do this. So what this means is that we have a padding of 9 pixel around the button and the icon. So yeah, so that's the function of this. And to control over this value, because of course if you have 9 here, That means everything, left, right, top, bottom, all are like they have 9 pixel what's it called, or padding, right? So, but in a situation whereby probably you just want it to have, you want this other side to be maybe maybe 16, and you want this other side to be, let's say 20. So how do we do that? So this is where this control, this part comes in. So it shows us the spacing between each like each corner, the 4 corners. So of course, if we want to edit the space between here, this the left hand side, if we want to control the spacing here, we can just change this to 16. And as you can see, this has changed. So if you check, can you see 16? And this is still 9. So let's say we want to increase the padding here to 30. So can you see that that is also increasing? So yeah. So auto layout is a very powerful feature that really makes life easy for designers. Like I don't know what I will I can't imagine how I've been suffering without auto layout. But yeah, so this is just like the simplest thing you can actually do with auto layout, creating buttons. Of course, we have different type of button. So these are the things that we'll be following. So let's do this second button. I've explained this. Let's have this one. So this one is probably you want to have a floating icon button, like the one we have on Twitter when you want to create a tweet. So all you need to do is, you don't need to create a circle. All you need is just auto layout. Just press Shift A, and automatically it has created the auto layout frame for you. Of course, the spacing, the default space that is always there is 10, and the default padding is also 10. So meaning it's 10 around the whole corner of the box. So how do we turn it to circle? What we need to do is just put a very huge border radius, can put 100. So, and that's it, and it's automatically um it's a floating icon button without any stress, right? So yeah, um so to okay, I forgot to mention, to make this place to make this button, when you pull it, it aligns to the center, right? So this is what this control is also for. So this is aligning horizontally. This is horizontal to the left, to the center, and to the right. So at the center, also vertically center left. So what we want to do here is align both horizontal and vertically to the center. So you just move this to the center, and behold, and everything is aligned to the center. Yeah, which really makes sense, and it's really cool. So sorry, the next thing we'll be doing, let's quickly create this button. That's the last one. So for this button, is also very responsive. How do we create this? So this is what I did. All I did was I brought out, let's just ungroup all this buttons. So let me just first bring it back to the original size. Then duplicate, ungroup. So if we ungroup, if you can see this, you can see they are all like different buttons, yeah, icons together. So all I did was that I brought out this let me ungroup this also. Sorry. Can you see immediately I ungrouped it, it just became only just the icon, and every other thing is gone. So all I did was pick each icon and give it an auto layout. So auto layout, auto layout, auto layout, right? And then give it a few. So just pick the few, add few, add a few. Yeah, please, if you have any question, just drop it in the chat. Then after the whole class or lecture, we can I can answer questions. So yeah, as I was saying, um, so the border, we can add a border radius to, so because we want to have this side as a border radius, but it's not a full border radius. I believe we know what a full border, where we can change the border radius. So you come here, since it's not like we want to have the four corners to have the border radius. So we come here to add border radius. So this is the left, top left, and then bottom left. Yeah, bottom left. So yeah, let's see. This top left. So we want to put like 30. Yeah. So this top right, bottom right, then bottom left. So 30 pixel. Yeah, and this is like what we have for here. And this place does not require the border radius. This one does. So here we are giving the bottom and top right, and sorry, top right. So 30. Okay, that's bottom right, and top right 30. And yeah, so of course, to give this a stroke, what we need to do is just give everything a stroke, and yeah, and that's it. So all we need to do is, so we can just add auto layout to it also. Let's reduce the opacity of our stroke. So we can reduce it to something very subtle, right? So and yeah, that's it. So also, to now make it responsive, what we need to do is change this to few container, few container, few container. I'll explain what it's actually doing. So okay, so yeah, it's not yet responsive. So change to few container. Sorry. Okay. So what's that? Should work well. This should be, so this should be fixed. Okay, yeah. So the reason why this is not working is sorry, I forgot to change um the the alignment of the icons to the center, so that it can, it will, as much as you pull or you scale the button, it keeps on aligning to the center. So this is what happens. So yeah, so what did I do? So after I've already grouped these three icons as auto layout. What I did was I changed the property of this. You can see this resizing here. I changed the property from fixed width to few container. So fixed width means that it's like the width keeps on being fixed no matter how much you try to pull it, right? So okay, so hug content means that let me pull this out. Hug content means that, so if we change this to hug content, yeah, of course. So what it does is that it's the width of the container like shrinks to the size, to the width of that icon. I don't know if you, or of the content, not the icon alone, any content you have in it. It's until like it reaches the padding that we have. We know we have 10 pixel padding. I didn't mean there's no padding here. It will shrink to the width till it reaches the border of this particular content or icon. So yeah, that's what org content is. It orgs the content within that container. But what few container means, okay, so we can only have the option of few container when we have a nested what's it called, nested auto layout. So nested auto layout means that you have an auto layout in another auto layout. So this is, let me just show you if you can see this. So this is an auto layout. This icon is an auto layout. This one is one. Then we now have it in another auto layout, which is this. So we have 1, 2, 3 under this auto layout. So that's why we now have this view container. So this view container means that it fills the overall parent container, which is this one. It fills that container, like it expands to the width of that container. So that's why when I pull, it's also moving, the width is also changing with the parent width, which like the parent width is the one I'm dragging now. I don't know if we actually understand what I'm trying to say, but yeah, that is the work of this, and that is just for horizontal. It is for vertical also. If I want it to be responsive vertically also, if I pull this, you can see that nothing is happening. Why? Because this is actually set to fixed, right? So let's set it to org container. So every time you set something to org container, it shrinks back to where the content is. But when you have fixed, so every time you try to pull this, it changes to fixed container. If I change to org content, it goes back. So this is, so to make it responsive vertically also, you click on the three content, the three auto layouts, then you set it to few container also. So this is what happens. Can you see that it keeps on being at the center even as I pull like this? So yeah, so I just needed to like explain that with this simple part before we get to parts that are complicated. So yeah, so let's go to avatars. I'm sure we all know what avatars are, like the profile of maybe your profile page where you have your image and your information. So I'm sure we've seen a design like this before. Of course, we should have. Like most times, they stack up images like this on social media platforms where they want to show probably the number of people that liked your post or your content, whatever you posted. Yeah. So if you notice, this is actually very responsive, and you can make it like anyhow. It can overlap. So another thing, another property, what's it called, auto layout as is something we call space in between. So defaultly what we've been using is this packed. So this packed is just like it will pack the content like to equal. But what space in between means, so this is space between. What space between means is, let's put this together, right? Let's have this as an auto layout. So let's add a padding. Set the padding up. So the background, let's give it a border radius of 20. So if I try to do this, as you can see that it is not responsive. So what we can do is to make it responsive, we've not forgotten what we did the other time. So we can set, first thing we need to do is set this to fill container. So this fill container makes it easy for you to resize. So, but of course, you know, it is a circle, unlike I think it's a rectangle or a square or something. It will just reduce the width, right? So let's also set for but yeah, so it will warp this. So for us to have a kind of overlay like the way we have it here, what we can do is change this from, first let me make this a real circle back. Okay, so what we can do is change this from packed um to space between. So space between makes it easy for you to have this kind of overlay, like this kind of overlapping, not overlay, overlapping. So you can have this kind of overlapping. But if it is packed, it will just shrink and it will not be responsive, right? So yeah, so that's what this actually does. Um, the next thing is, okay, so I wanted to show you where we can actually apply this. Like I said, this overlapping of profile is usually used in on social media platform where you need to probably overlap a list of people that like the particular post or something. Of course, you can also apply it in where on like probably a dashboard or a fintech application where you need to stack up cards. So if you notice, see what we have. So then another thing you need to note is that once you change the property of your frame, your auto layout to space between, the spacing between the content becomes auto. So the reason it is automatic is because it automatically calculates the space between your frame. So it divides it equally. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. So let's just bring this out. So what it does is that it divides no matter how much. So let's do this. Change to space between. So if you notice, let's change it back to packed. Packed has 39, right? 39 spacing between each. So if we change this to, so okay, so I want to like experiment something. If you notice, the width of this frame is what? Let me just add a padding. Sorry, add a padding. Yes. Okay. So so if I try to remove, we are using, this is what's it called? This is packed property. So if I remove one of this avatar, do you notice that it just shrinks and like it reduces the size, because of course the property is all content and it continues to like try to hug the content you have in your frame. But but if we are using packed space between, for space between, if we remove one content, can you see it's not reducing the width, it's just automatically recalculating the spacing and the space between the contents and trying to like make sure that everything is equally aligned. So yeah, so that is the difference between the two. So of course, if you want to stack these cards up, all you need to do is just do this, and yeah. So there's this tutorial that I posted on this thing. Even though I didn't use auto layout to explain it, but auto layout makes it easy to stack this card like this. Of course, you can stack it sideways also. So just change the arrow, change the arrow. Okay. All right. So we are done with that. Let's quickly go to headers. So yeah, so I know we should all know what headers are like. Headers of, so this one is header of a dashboard, and this is header of probably a modal. Let me show you where I got the inspiration from. So this the header of the dashboard is from here. It's just a random dribble, and the header of the other one is for modals basically. So to create this, all we need to do is sorry. All we need to do is all we need to just ungroup this. So yeah, I believe we know how to create this one. Of course, in case you don't, let me just ungroup this also. Okay. So the first thing we need to do is add auto layout to our icon, since we want it to have a background to show that it's a button. Great. So sorry. So press Shift A, then um let's reduce this to 8 so that we can have 40, and then give it a background, give it border radius of 4, and let's change the color to something like this, and then um, so so we have our text and our icon. So we want to create an header. So what we need to do is just click this to create auto layout, align this to the center. Then what else do we need to do? Add a padding to it depending on how big, or let's just use 72. So we are using 16. So add what's it called? Um sorry, a background, yeah. So let's give the top about that radius of 16, 10, 10. Right. So, but if you notice, we can't do this because it is not responsive, because of course we need to change this to, it is already all content. This should be fixed with, and this should be fill container. Of course, don't forget fill container makes it responsive, right? So if we do this, what do you notice? You notice that it is affecting our, like it's just not right, right? Like it's just dropping it down. So this cannot work. So what we need to do is change this from, because it is packed. So change it from packed to space between. So space between, of course, what it does is it automatically calculates the space between these two elements. And if I try to resize now, can you see that it is now very responsive, like very responsive? So that's just that's about this. um so the next thing is, let's quickly duplicate this. And yeah, and of course, if we want to align this particular text to the center, what we need to do is change this to fill container, then sorry, or still packed. Okay, so to align the text to the center, this is what we do. Let's change this back to part. Then let's now change this to 0, right? So when we have like something like this, if we change this to packed back, to space between back, it returns back to the size, of course, because the padding is 16 all through, right? So if we want to like align this this what's it called, to the center, change to fill container, and of course, I don't know if you understand the space, the all space between thing, because the space between makes it calculates the space automatically for us. But what the fill container does is, the reason why we're able to do this is because the fill container will make sure even if you don't have any text there again, it will span the size of the frame that is surrounding the text. It will make sure that it covers the whole space. So now all I need to do is just do the normal alignment of my text to the center, which makes it easy for me to align it to the center. And of course, it's also responsive because we are using space between. So I'm not sure if we actually understand what's going on. I think I just need someone to speak. Hi guys, are you guys still with me?
Okay.
Let me be sure that I'm not talking to myself.
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay, all
So
right.
if you're with Ray, could you just put it up on the chat section?
Um, okay, all right, all right. Okay, thanks, guys.
Okay, yeah, their
Okay,
responses.
so yeah. So let's go back to quickly design this frame. So what the first thing we need to do is let's duplicate this. Let's ungroup the whole thing. So if you notice, we have like different auto layouts in. So ungroup this, ungroup this, ungroup. Okay, ungroup. Right. So the first thing we need to do is we already have our. Well, let's start with this part since it has like the highest content, right? So what we need to do, bring. I'm sure we understand how to get this. I've explained how to get this frame on the around the icon. So put this together. Since they are similar and they are close, you can um, make them like add auto layout to them to group it, to group them together. So let's give it spacing of 24. So this when we have this name and then the person's probably work or position, we can also like add auto layout to it since they are together, right? Then the next thing we do is add auto layout to this too also. So like it makes it easy for us to trace what we are doing. So we do it one after the other, right? So don't forget, another thing is as we are grouping this to make it responsive, we have to be changing it to, oh, okay, we can't change that yet. But of course, so let's add auto layout to this, then align to the center. So this is aligned. So we can change this to fill container to make it easy when we are trying to um, make it responsive or resize. So this is fill container here. So we don't need to make this fill container because we don't want it to spoil our avatar, right? So The next thing is add this, so we call this line divider. So add the divider because it is here to separate the profile from the icons, right? So just add this avatar and this divider also. Click auto layout, align to the center. Then don't forget that we've already aligned, we've already add auto layout to this. So all we need to do is align this to also to the center. Add auto layout. So yeah, then align to the center. Right. So if you check this 40, you can try and reduce the size. 32. Right. So let me just quickly show you how to get this. But it's quite easy. It's just like the normal way we do on group. So all we need to do is just so all we need to do is just have this the text and your icon, add auto layout to them, then align to the center. Then what we need to do, add a frame, add padding to it. So we want it to be 48, so that's 12. So padding of 12. Then give it a background hue. So the reason why it is small like this is because it is, remember, this property hug content, it will hug the content till it reaches the padding of that particular content. So immediately I try to pull this out, you see that it has changed to fixed, because yeah, of course, now we are changing the property to fixed because we increase the width. So yeah, let's add border radius of 8. Sorry. Okay. So yeah, and we have our search field. So all we need to do is what, add these two together. Okay, don't forget to, so this is fixed. We need to change view container so that it can be responsive, right? So we have this and we have this. So this is like our last the two what's it called, elements or auto layout. So just add the two together, auto layout them, align to the center. Then what next? Add padding to it. So we want it to be, let's say 100. Or we can decide not to add padding, right? Because okay, we can decide to add padding, but not padding top. And I'll tell you the reason why. So the reason why I said we shouldn't add padding top, it's not like it is wrong or anything. We already have a divider here, which is already giving this content space at the top and space here, if you notice here. So what all we need to do is add, like I told you, you can add padding to the left. So we can add padding to the left, then add 20, and then add a few. So let's change the color of our preset. And yeah, that's just it. So here we can change this to, so the reason why, remember, the org content will always org the content until it reaches the padding, right? So let's try to resize and see. Can you see that it is not responsive? Why? Because this is supposed to be set to fill container. Let's see if it will be responsive now. It's still not. And the reason is because, we have two separate what's it called, elements here. So let's change it to space between. So space between would, can you see, automatically help us calculate the spacing and make it responsive. And yeah, that's just it for this header. For the header for a what's it called, for a dashboard. Well, yeah. So moving on, let's try cards or table. Yeah, let's go for cards first before going to table. Time. Wow, we have like 10 minutes. So okay, let's group this. Group. Okay. Fire group. Let me just duplicate. Oh, sorry. Okay, so let's ungroup the whole thing. So the kind of card this is. This is I just try to replicate what's it called, Instagram's card, right? So if you pull this, it is very responsive. So let's just ungroup. Okay. So everything is ungrouped. Okay, so of course, well, the first thing we need to do, remember our stacking of okay, before we go to stacking, right? So we have these three icons, they are similar. We do what? We add auto layout, shift A, or we can just click shift A here. Since they are the same width and height, they don't really necessarily to be aligned to center. So also for our remember this, all we need to do is just sorry, let's go. Add what auto layout. Well, because it is packed, we need to change the space between so we can overlap it. Then let's add a stroke of white. Then reduce the size. K is to just scale appropriately. So, oh, okay. If the stroke was added to the entire frame, it's supposed to be added to the avatar. So, see it very, very small. Can you see how small this is? So anyways, just scale it down to a very, very small size. So something like, well, like this. But yeah, you get the point. So we've grouped this. We've grouped this as auto layout. Then we have this, right? So this text, we also do what? We add auto layout, then align center, move it to the top, just move it, right? So this one is alone, so we don't need to add anything. This is a text for comments, right? So we can group these three together, or we can group the two texts because they might have they have different spacing. So that's why these two comments here, they are grouped together, right? Then we can now add auto layout with this one and then with the frame, so that they can have separate spacing, right? But if you group the three together, they will have the same spacing. But to make them have separate spacing, we need to like group separately. So don't mind me using groups, I mean auto layout. So yeah, so when we add auto layout to this is 6, this is 20. Let's say this is 20. For this one, this is 6, right? So they have separate property in terms of spacing. Let me just reduce this to 10. Then we can now add auto layout with this time, probably because they are of different spacing also. And yeah, so we have everything. So let's just, so that we don't get confused. I don't know whether we should, let's start changing the property of each frame to the proper, because we want it to be responsive, right? So we need to change it to what? Fill container. Fill container. Fill container. This is already fill container. This is already fill container. This is already okay. Fill container. Then this is also fill container. So this one doesn't have any property yet because it's not yet auto layout. So, but we don't want to change the property of this, because of course if we try to change the fill container, it will distort the circle. So we leave it as fixed. So for this one, we change to fill container. Yeah, fill container. So this one's also, we don't want it to like, we don't want the content to be distorted, so we leave it at as fixed or org content. So the next thing we need to do, yeah, don't forget we have this icon here, right? So what we'll do is we have this frame, we have this, we have this. So we have all three frames. We can just align to have the same spacing to put them together. So let's just say we have eight, right? Then we just add auto layout, right? So the next thing, since everything is now inside the container, what we need to change next is change it to fill container, fill container, sorry, fill container, fill container. Okay. Then this one to also to fill container, right, horizontally. So then we now align it with don't forget, just make sure you create the rectangle for your image down so that you can but yeah, so the next thing is we want to, because this one is like separately here, we want to align, do this sorry. So just pick this frame and this, and then add auto layout, right? We can either do this, change this from path to space between, since they are, of course, you get, they are two different properties in separate so for it to make it easy for us to, when we are trying to resize, so let's add the image and this text, this whole frame, this together, add, let's just first add a background to this. So we need to add padding first. So padding of 8, and background. So then we can now align this together. Okay, this and this, add auto layout. But if you notice, there's spacing of 19. That's why we have this spacing. So we change it to 0. And don't forget to change the width of your image also to fill container, so that it will be responsive as we are changing the size. So okay, so if you notice, this is not responsive. Why? Because the width of this entire frame, so it is fixed instead of fixed container. So when we do this now, okay, still not responsive. So let's see why. Fill container. Okay. View container. Okay. So let's see.
Sorry.
Hi.
Okay, yeah. So just to let you know that I have pasted the questions in the Q&A section. So when
Okay.
you're done, you could just address them from the Q&A section.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So um, let's change this from fixed to packed. So it doesn't matter. So well, this actually happens when we have a lot of nested what's it called, auto layout. So I guess we just need to check this fix. Um, let's fix it. Exactly. Okay. So somewhere. Okay. So if you notice, one part is still not responsive. Uh, here. So change to field container also. Here. Field. So like whenever you have like a lot of nested what's it called, auto layout, you have to, like, especially if you want to make whatever you are designing responsive, you have to make sure you check everything properly to make sure that everything is well aligned and set to the right property. So yeah, that's just the basic way to actually design a responsive auto layout. What's it called? So the reason why this one is aligning to is because I aligned this to the center. So let's change it to top so that uh, no. So yeah, well, that's just how to design the card. Okay, so I know time is up. Well, let's quickly design this table. Trust me, it's simpler than it looks. Um, okay, so let's just pick the first thing we want to do is just pick one property out of the table. So this table is likely where probably where you want to design a dashboard where you will have to like see maybe the list of people that bought something, or yeah, something like that. Sorry. So let's pick this. Okay, so let me ungroup this. Shit. So I've ungrouped the whole thing. So the first thing we want to do is, of course, choose the ones that are similar or they are in the same category. So this image and this and the name of this text, they are together. So we add what, auto layout, align to the center, change this to field container so that when we are resizing, oh, sorry. Okay, so that when we are resizing it, is actually responsive. So the next thing, change this to, okay, there's no need to change all these ones to anything. Let's just first change to back to this. Anyways, so all we need to do now is to get this also, of course, to get this, all we need to do is just do Shift A and then change the property here to 2 2 and then 2. Then we change this to probably 4. So we give it the background. So change the background to, and of course align to the center. And yeah, give it border radius. So that's just how to achieve this. So all we need to do it now is click this, 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 and then this. Then do what? Make sure they are well aligned. They are equal spacing. Then we add auto layout, align to the center. Then the next thing to do is add what's it called, padding. So let's say we want to add it to be 56, that's 8. So right, let's add a fill to it. So yeah, don't forget to now change your property to fill container. Fill container, right? Fill container, fill container. If you notice something is happening, everything is dropping down into like it's dropping. The reason being is that because it is fill container, that we have is small, right? You fill that container, so it keeps on resizing to like the size it can be, right? So if I try to increase this now, this is now like back to the normal size. If I try to do this, can you see that it is trying to like make sure that it's still in that same position and trying to maintain the spacing. So yeah, this one should be fill container also. So that's let's increase this. Yeah, to 20. Right. So uh so yeah, like especially if you want it for, probably you need to add a new column to it. All you need to do is just do this and it will automatically span. So but of course we need to change to org content. And sorry. Sorry. Oh. Okay. It's this kind of thing. Another thing we can actually do, especially if we are trying to use this smaller screen. Oh, sorry. What is this thing? Continue. So can I leave this to fixed since okay. So let's use 32 space. So because let me just remove this. So anyways, so if you notice, it's trying to like still maintain that 32 spacing, and we still have this. So to probably avoid it like dropping down like that, we can change the property um from packed to space between. So space between will not change the width. It will just automatically calculate this and still maintain the spacing. Can you see? But the only problem with space between is out of space. For example, what we have here, it will it would overlap with the remaining content. So, well, it depends on the screen that you're trying to fix to, and it might probably the size of the text you are using also. But why is this one? Here. Let's see. Okay. Trying to check something. So, um, okay, now, so like I was saying, so once you use what's it called, packed and space between, it will maintain the same width instead of the width of the content to like start dropping down because it wants to maintain the spacing. No, what packed between will do is I said packed between. What the space between will do is it would calculate the like space to make sure that the content is equally spaced, but why changing why the width, why like maintaining the same width, right? Can you see? But like, yeah, so well, it depends on the kind of table you're trying to create. So let's see, because we want to create this kind of table now, we already have our property laid out. But one thing, let's not forget there's a divider in between the content. So what we need to do is add this divider to, sorry, this divider to, I don't know if you can see, let me change the color to black. So add this divider to your this particular, make sure it's the same. Then click add auto layout. So you can, if you notice there's 21, so set it to 0. Then don't forget to, sorry, make sure that it is fill container so that it is responsive with the fill container. So of course, so when we try to resize now, it is also resizing with uh, the content, right? So all we need to do now is have this. So control D. So you can just duplicate this, and then let's not forget to change the okay, let's just do auto layout first. So of course we've added auto layout to it, but the divider is too thick, so we can reduce the opacity of our black to very thin, something very thin. So then we add a few or a few to give it space. Yeah, that's just how like it creates a, a responsive so I noticed. So that's the whole field is fill container. Don't forget fill container makes it easy to be responsive. So that's just it. yeah, so that's just how to create it. Also, don't forget, like I mentioned, this is the reason why this is overlapping with the content is because space between. But unlike if it is packed would so this is wait, this is space between. Let's show the space between. Yeah, so what doesn't matter. But anyways, I believe we actually get the gist. It depends on what um the kind of table you are trying to create. That will determine the property you will be using, right? Okay. Let's quickly design our bar. Then we can actually call it a day. Then we can go to the questions. So bottom navigation bar is actually very easy to design. We already have everything here. I'll go Shift, Control, G. So all we need to do is arrange our icons and the text. I'm using soft points for the text and text size. So anyways, just highlight the two icon, the two properties together, both home and the icon. Give it auto layout, align to the center. So um, align to the center, align to the center. Okay, so then the next thing we do is group this whole thing together and give it add auto layout to it. Then give it a padding. Usually 72 for my. Give it a padding. Add background to it, and yeah. But if you notice, this is actually responsive. So to make it responsive, we need to change this to field container, field container, field container, and field container. But of course, you need to also change the text to field container. Yeah, field container. So we can reduce the size, the spacing between. So the reason why it is dropping down is because the spacing is much. Can reduce the spacing to yeah to 0. So can you see everything is now right? So if we try to resize, this would happen, right? The only reason why it is happening like this is because we are using packed. So but if we change to from packed to space between, so space between will continue to maintain um so it's not dropping down, but it's actually shrinking with the size width size, but still maintaining the width of the content. Yeah, and so also for the drop down, we'll be able to explain the drop down, but like it's still the same idea, just trying to play around with just try to play around with the properties and yeah, anything you come up with, just tag me to it on Twitter if you have any question. Let me just quickly go to the questions. Um, yeah. Let's see. Okay. Um, so Um, so the first question, have you ever worked with designers allergic to autolyers? How would you convince designers about benefits of autolyers? How can you communicate benefits in a way that overcomes their fear each time to create a screen with versus without autolyers? We said it's just autolyers is just there to make life easy for us. Like I don't know how I've been living without the whole auto layout thing. So recently they changed my where I work, they changed my team, I changed team, or they took me to another team. So the team they are in that team, the product they are working on, the product designer like did not really know much about auto layout, so it doesn't use auto layout on the designs. Though it is actually frustrating for me, but of course it too now like it was really frustrating for me to work with the design. But when then there was now one day that they organized auto layout and constraints during the UX meeting in on the team, and they explained. Even my boss was like, he doesn't like auto layout. I remember anytime we tried to have a review with him, he's always very frustrated when he tries to like correct something, because most time when you're using auto layout, make sure that whatever you are putting together are like the final design, not like you'll be making changes. If you try to make changes, it becomes very difficult, right? Like you already have a map of what you want to design in your head, so it makes it easy so that you don't have to like change here and there. But yeah, just let the designer know the reason why they need to use auto layout, how easy it is, like the time it takes for you to, like you said, time it takes for you to pull out screen with auto layout. And of course, if you want to make some additions to some of your design, like that table, if you want to, it's actually very easy. You don't need to start removing, adding one after the other. It makes it very easy. So um so according to this. All right, recommendation about constraint. Keep always center. No. It depends on where you want to align that particular stuff to. So let's say, for example, not always center. Actually, see this one. For this one, it is actually not aligned to the center. It is aligned to this side. But the only reason why this is actually is because it is vertically aligned to the center. Can you see? Vertically aligned to the center. But if you want to align, let me use something else to explain. Okay, let's use this text field. So if you notice this search icon and this stuff, they are not aligned to the center, they are aligned to the left. So you cannot align them to the center. So if I want to align them to the center, all I need to do is change. Can you see this one is aligned here? Oh, sorry. Change to probably center, and yeah, but like it depends on what you're actually designing. Actually, okay, I think I have another thing that I can use to explain that part very well. See this thing. The other time when I was trying to resize, something was happening that it was going down. This particular part, it was going down with the it was aligning to this. Let's use this one. So if you guys, if you just and you notice that this avatar to the center with this text here, which is not supposed to be like that. It's not right. It's supposed to be at the top, since it is just because we actually resizing. So I have to change from this this center vertically aligned to the center. So I changed to this to the top. Means like it remains at the top. It doesn't align to the center or to the bottom where you're trying to resize. I don't know if that actually answers the person's question. Then someone said, Munira said, I for the dashboard content inside auto layout. Is every content meant to be inside an auto layout and field doing the final auto layout? Yes, like they just do everything gradually. Which part is she talking about? Auto layout for the dashboard. I don't know which is it the for the header or for the for the table. Which one? This can the person just signify? Let's go to the next question. There are more questions if you scroll up. Sorry, I don't really know how to use this.
Okay, yes. You could go back to the Q&A. There's the first one you've not taken. The Q&A. Yes.
This
Can you
one.
speak on it? Yes, yes. Shadows in auto layout.
Hi, can you speak about shadows in auto layout? I can't add shadow on elements if they are in auto layout. No, of course you can add shadow. Just make sure you added a background. Let's use this button as an example. So this button is already an auto layout. You can add shadow to it. Oh, I've never tried it. See, so you can add shadow to auto layout. Auto layout is just like having container around stuff and like grouping it and making them responsive. So it doesn't disturb you having shadow. But yeah, like I guess you get the gist. So I just wanted to change this to red. But yeah, you can add shadows to auto layout. Just container. Just make sure you have a fill in it so that you would see it. Yeah. So I think that's all right.
Yeah, yes, that's all. For this person that asked this one, you're still on. I think that I just checked now. The person is no longer on
Yeah.
the call, so that's all.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I can stop sharing now.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ray, for